Well, hello everybody, this is Travis. Welcome back to another episode of RZR Garage. Now, if any ends out there have a RZR 800 and you like the mud, you know then how much your radiator does not like the mud. We have always had a lot of trouble getting mud in this radiator. I don't understand why, but it clogs up, it gets caked full of mud all the time. So we're going to build some stuff. We're going to pull this radiator out of the front and we're going to relocate it to right in here above this door. There's a lot involved in the designing of anything, any custom build that you're doing for yourself is, well, you know, it's a custom build and you're building it. And there is no product on the market that I've seen available to relocate your radiator for your RZR. So which is why I'm taking the time to explain as much as I can and to give you sizes and dimensions. Well, we're going to start this build for this radiator relocation. Started at the bench with some steel. Now here I have some 1.5 by 1.5 angle stock, and I have 1.75 conduit. And we're going to cut. I already cut one piece. I have to cut one more piece of this 1.5 angle. We're going to cut these to 19 3/8 of an inch long, and we're going to cut 2 pieces of this 1.75 conduit. We're going to cut 2 pieces at 17 inches. Now I have some extra drops here of the same pipe. I'm going to cut 3 inches long. We only need 1 piece of them, and we need 1 3-inch long piece of 2-inch outside diameter pipe, because the inside diameter on the 2-inch pipe is 1.75 inches. Now that we have that cutting done, I've taken my long pieces and I've put a mark on the end of the pipe, 3/4 of an inch from the end of the pipe. Because we're going to notch. We're going to use a 2-inch hole saw, so we can then use the 2-inch pipe that has an inside diameter of 1.75 inches. Now let's go cut some notches. Welding pipe or tubing, you want to have a nice joint, proper joint. Now, some people might not think it's important, but it makes for a better weld if you have a nice tight joint. A nice tight joint the whole way around. I'm going to cut these in half so we end up with 2 halves. Now we move on to our 2 pieces of angle stock that we cut. Now this one I have laid out. Now these ends, we have a little radius. Now you can't forget that this angle is 1/8 thick. So I came down here and marked a line at 1/8 of an inch on each side to represent the wall, the thickness of this back piece of the angle. And you come over from your end you measure in 7/8, because 7/8 is 1/2 inch and 3/4. Okay, and then you bring just a piece of your pipe and you line it up on your 7/8 mark, and the top of it on your top mark at your 1/8 of an inch. You just line it up right like that, and you trace around it with your choice of marking utensils. Now this is actually going to be just a little bit straight at the bottom, and then you come up into your 7/8 radius, and you do that very same thing on both sides. This dimension is important from the edge of this, where this pipe hits, to here, the center point of this radius, where this pipe, where they fit in there. You need to make this 17.5 inches. It has to be 17.5 inches from the center of this radius to the center of this radius, because your radiator on your razor is 17 inches wide by 13 inches high. Now what I've done with my mounting assembly or rig or bracket, whatever you want to call it, I've made it 1/2 inch bigger than the size of the radiator. That way you have a 1/4 inch gap the whole way around. And at the bottom you actually need that 1/4 inch, because the bottom of the radiator, there's 2 studs, and they have rubber grommets on them. And we'll get to that. But those rubber grommets have to be in that 1/4 inch gap at the bottom. I just come in that little bit with that cutoff wheel until I come to where the radius actually starts, because the bottom's going to be straight, and I just have a little bit of and then this is going to be radiused, and I just come in straight to there. And I am going to cut this off with the cutoff wheel, and then I'm going to grind it to my line. Well, now that we have the top of our pipe notched, we're going to focus on the bottom, where it joins to the roll bar behind your head. Now I've played this one out, and I've cut this notch, so this little saddle, that's going to fit in there right like that, and we're going to weld that in. Now, if you cut your pipes the same length as I did, if you cut them to, I can't remember what we cut them to, 17 inches, you can measure up from the bottom 1.5 inches, make a line 1.5 inches the whole way around, so you can keep yourself straight. Or you can measure down from the top, from here. Now I've already welded these top saddles in, but you can measure from the bottom of this saddle 14.75 inches. Mark it the whole way around. Now I built a different fixture for hole sawing, so I could do these side notches. So we'll do that. And once, and that fits right in there like that, just like the top one. We have a nice cut joint. Now if you want to, you can make your pipe longer, so you have more room down here at the bottom, so you have this extra bit of pipe. So you can possibly weld a nut and a washer into the end of that, so you could then come back and you could run a bolt up through there, and you could add something onto this without having to weld. You could bolt right to the bottom of it. But the way the seeds are, I'm going to have to make a piece to box this in I'll have to make a piece to box this in, so that's entirely up to you. Now we're getting ready to weld this frame all together. Now I'm starting on this side for my welding. Either way, it's up to you. I have this extra piece of pipe clamped in here, acting like the top bar on your roll bar. This is clamped in. Now this top piece of angle you want to have in just like this with the back. Okay, if you're looking at the back of the machine, your radiator is going to go in here. You're going to be seeing your fan here. Now you want this top angle to be open in the back, and make sure you have your square, and just square it. And I don't think I mentioned too, what you want to do, you want to put this angle up as close as you, after I get it tacked together. When I can move it, I'll show you. This is acting like our top roll bar. Now this is the inside, and you just line this up. Yeah, focus, you fuck. You just line it up so it looks like that. So you have a nice tight, so it's nice and straight, nice tight and even across the top. But you want to have this up against these saddles on the top. So you have, let's measure it. So you have 7/8, there's 7/8 of an inch clearance in here. There's 7/8 in between your roll bar and this angle. Now for the bottom angle, measure down 13.5. Put yourself a mark at 13.5. Let's do the same process with the square. As you saw, I put these little blocks of wood in here. I just cut with a 45-degree notch in the middle. It makes it a little easier for holding pipe. And now since it's only tacked, if it's wrong, we can cut it back apart. 13.5. 13.5 exactly. Now that it's all tacked and everything is square and having the right measurements and everything, I'm going to weld this all in. Well, I've gone ahead and I've finished all the fabrication. Now, in order to mount your radiator in here, you need to drill two 5/8 inch holes in the bottom, because the grommets that are on the pins on the bottom of your radiator are 5/8 inches, 5/8 of an inch round. Now what you want to do is mark a center line. So half of inch and a half is 3/4, so you mark a 3/4 inch center line, and then these are 7.5 inches from center to center. And at the top, I've welded in this piece of angle from the back so we can have a place to mount the top of the radiator. Now these are 1/4 inch holes, and you have to come up 1/2 inch from the bottom of this angle, 1/2 inch up from the bottom of here, and then these are 5 1/4 on center apart. Now the easiest way to do that, if you don't want to measure, is just draw your center line on the bottom, and you take your radiator and you set it in here, and you just draw a line, and then you can drill these 5/8 holes where the lines cross. That would be your center. And then you can set it in, and then lay your radiator down over top of that and just mark it, and then drill them. Now over here, I've cut a notch, okay, because the nipple on the top of the radiator for that 1/4 inch line that goes from here over to your filler cap, that nipple has to come through here, which is why I put this top bracket the opposite from the bottom. So we only have to notch one piece. And now you can go ahead and put your radiator in there. I took a piece of 1 inch by 1/4 inch flat stock, and I welded a piece of 3/4 inch angle stock to the end of it. I just welded it here, and now I have to drill some holes and tap them so I can attach this filler. Now we're going to just reuse the stock mounting screws that came in it. So we're going to drill with the number 25 drill bit, and then we're going to tap for 1024. That way we can just reuse these. And now on the stock, when it's mounted in your machine from stock fashion, your coolant reservoir is over here in this area. But for ease of installation and ease of adding water, I'm going to put it right over here, right beside the fill. I've got some marks over here. Now I've already showed you how to, drill in one hole, tap in one. So I'm going to drill these two, and I'm going to tap them all. Then we'll get that put on. And now here we got, I bought, now I don't have a part number or anything, go to your local auto parts store and get a formed hose, a 1 inch formed hose that has a U formed in it, or you can get a flexible hose. My particular auto parts store did not have 1 inch flex hose. That would probably work better, but I bought this U, and then this hose here, which goes up behind the plastic and comes out over here. This is one of the stock radiator hoses off the front, where it comes out from underneath the body, hooked to the aluminum pipes that are under the floor. This is one of the front ones. Now I had to tie them together here. I put a piece of pipe inside and I pushed them on there and clamped them all real tight, and it runs up through there, and it was not long enough, so I had to put another piece of pipe in right here and a piece of 1 inch hose from the auto parts store. I come up here and I have another splice right here on a piece of steel pipe, and I took one of the short radiator hoses from the original, where they come out of here, and they go down and they have all those little bends and they hook onto your aluminum pipes right here. That is the end off of one of those. And I took the other pipe and the other hose from down there, and I cut a little bit off the end of it, and I attached it to the same hose that it was on off of the pump. This is the hose off of the pump. I had to cut a little bit off that end of it, the 90-degree bend, and it fit in here just like this. It has this nice shape in, and I had to splice it in here with a piece of pipe into one of the stock radiator hoses again off the front. That's what it looks like. You know, you can't really come out past this plastic because that cover goes across there. So these are clearly behind that. Now this one is in the way of your dipstick, but when you want to check your oil, see it's loose, you can just move it out of the way. And here is your dipstick for checking your oil. And if you have to take your clutch cover off, none of the hoses, nothing's in the way of the clutch cover, of your belt cover. So you can just pull it off to the side like that, and you have easy access to everything, just like you do. And these hoses, I wanted to make sure that they weren't on a bind anywhere, so there's lots of movement in all these in these two hoses. And I have to make a grill for this yet, to keep it safe and protected. There's my radiator grill. How did it get in there? Huh. At times, you gotta do what you gotta do. Now, for those of you that thought I was joking about using the grill for my radiator grill, wasn't joking. There it is. I welded this frame up out of, you know what it is, inch and an eighth angle, because that's what I had. Sometimes use what you got, use what you can find. Ain't nobody gonna miss the grill out of the grill for now. It's more important to have it in the razor. And that'll keep the mud out of it, because we do like our mud. I know a lot of people do. I watch a lot of YouTube, watch a lot of mudding and riding videos, and you know, actually I don't see too many with the radiators mounted up high. But that's what we like, and that's what I do. And I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something, or took something out of this. And I hope this helps you on any possible future build that you have. And if you have any questions, something that I didn't cover in the video, because you know, I was doing a lot of work off camera, engineering and figuring this stuff all out, because like I said earlier, but if you have any questions at all, drop me in the comments and I will answer you. And once again, I'm Travis, and this has been Razor Garage, and I'm out.